Morning and welcome to your morning Devo for Friday, the 23rd of September. Today's devotion is entitled Consider Suffering. To get the gist of all these devotions, I think it's best that we think of ourselves not as civilians, but as soldiers in the army of Christ, as spiritual warriors, as it were, in the army of Christ, because we are in a spiritual battle, always in a spiritual battle. We could be sitting all by ourselves at home doing nothing. We're in a spiritual battle. Let's have that mindset. Consider suffering. God's promises are our fortress in times of danger, but it is not easy for us to run to them in a crisis unless we know them in times of comfort as well. That's the opening thought. I'm sure it'll be repeated later on the devotion. The pupil who performs best on a test is the one who has thought a great deal about the lesson before the teacher even gives him the test. In fact, we can discover an important principle when we watch porters carrying heavy loads. Lift them over and over again before they actually take them on their backs. And you can do this too. In your meditation, lift up the troubles which might come for Christ's sake and see if you can carry them should God require it. Set poverty, prison, isolation, and fire before you on the one hand, and the precious truths of Christ on the other, along with God's sweet promises for those who will hold fast the word of patience in such an hour of temptation. Suppose you had to choose right now which hand you would take. Study this question seriously until your conscience can give a clear answer. Do this often so the self-pity which flesh and blood indulge will not be satisfied, nor the encouragements from Scripture be treated with doubt. You must make sure a promise is true before you stake your life on it. Augustine summed up the urgency of being prepared before a battle. It's hard to find the needed troops during war if we have not sought for and known them during peace, he said. God's promises are our fortress in times of danger, but it is not easy for us to run to them in a crisis unless we know them in times of comfort as well. Stranger who runs to a house for refuge in the dark night will probably fumble to open the door unless he has located the latch in the daytime, and his enemy may well destroy him while he is struggling to open the door. One who lives inside that place or is familiar with it can get in easily. From Isaiah 26:20, "Come, my people," said God, "enter thou into thy chambers." He shows us our abiding place in his promises long before sufferings come, so we can readily find our way to them in the dark. I thought of Navy SEALs reading that and all the training they go through, and it's hard. It's harsh. We hear of trainees dying in those drills sometimes. Unless we've lived it, practiced it, run through it in our minds and hearts, studying the word to see how others before us have done it. When the enemy attacks, we will be flustered. We will be unprepared. We will not know how to handle it. Being prepared for the enemy's efforts, for his tricks, for his weapons. That's the key. Living and being victorious in this Christian warfare in which we live. Blessings to you today. Fight the good fight.